I want to welcome you all today. If you are an elected official, if you want to stand and give your name and your title, and then also candidates, if you want to stand and give your title as well, or your office that you're running for as well, really quickly, we'll do that. If you want to start, Gayla's always on the right, so we start with her.
Steve Lawson, privileged to be your sheriff, and I appreciate your vote.
I'm Gary Davis, the county mayor, and I appreciate your vote, so allow me to continue to work for you. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Raper. I'm a Karnes County Commissioner in District 7, and I am pursuing the job of state representative in District 24.
Cindy Slater, County Commissioner of District 5, Seat B. Ready unopposed, praise the Lord. And I look forward to serving for 4 more years.
Hi, I'm Blake, County Commission, District 3, also unopposed and very thankful. You're sitting in the 3rd District right now, so welcome to the 3rd District.
Leon Shahan, candidate for District Public Defender for Bradley, Polk, McMinn, and Monroe counties. I'm also running unopposed. Praise Jesus.
Charlie Codwood, Cleveland City School Board at Large. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
John Robinson, Cleveland City School, District 3 and C, and I please vote for me.
I'm Sandra Donaghy, the criminal court judge running for re-election. I appreciate your vote, May 3rd. Thank you.
Katie Chesterfield, District 4, School Board, and I'll praise the Lord too.
Josh Rogers, County Commission, District 7.
I'm Clay Collins, running for Criminal Sessions Court Judge, and definitely appreciate your vote.
Erica Davis, County Commissioner, District 6, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
I'm Mike Jenny. I'm one of your circuit court judges. I'm not opposed, and I'm certainly honored to serve all of you in the community.
I'm Rebel Johnson, running for Bradley General Sessions, position held by Judge Randolph at this time. I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
My name is Paul Rush. I'm running for criminal court judge against Sandra Donaghy, and I would appreciate your vote, your support, and your prayers.
Rich Kinnan, running for County Commissioner, 4th District, Seat B. Appreciate your vote.
Josh Taylor, running for Bradley County Board of Education, District 4.
Daniel Beatty, running Commissioner in the 1st District.
David Calfee, I am the last of the candidates for Criminal Sessions Judge, and also the best looking.
I guess I'm Andrew Morgan. I'll talk to you more in a minute.
Steve Krupp, I'm your district attorney, and you'll hear from me as well later.
Barrett Hayter, I'm the current sessions juvenile judge, which is Division 1, and you'll hear more from me in just a few minutes.
Stephen Hatchett, I'm running for district attorney, and unfortunately for you all, you have a bunch of lawyers you're fixing to hear from.
Is there anyone else that's come in that's a candidate or an elected official that we missed? Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to do our Pledge of Allegiance real quick. Mitzi Hope is going to lead that for us. The flag is behind this wall here.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then Richard Burnett's going to lead us in prayer for our meal.
All right, let's pray. Lord, thank you for the beautiful day you created, the opportunity together in a free country. Lord, we do want to lift up Ukraine right now in that situation for all the ones that their lives are in danger. We pray your hand upon them. Thank you for this opportunity to be here in Cleveland today, and thank you for all the candidates that are running. Bless them, but especially bless their families and keep them safe from all evil innuendos and harm. Thank you for the things that you bless us with. Help us food to nourish our bodies, and may everything we do honor Christ. In his name, amen.
Amen. Okay, so I've put some announcement sheets on your tables just so we can maximize our time for our speakers. One addition to that is Emily Beatty is here today. She does have tickets for the Lincoln Day dinner. If you want to get a ticket from her, she does have them for sale today. And our speakers today are D.A. Crump, Mr. Hatchett, Mr. Morgan, and Judge Painter. We normally go in alphabetical order, but Mr. Morgan needs to leave promptly. So all the candidates have agreed to let him go first. So we're gonna let him go ahead and get started. Oh, you guys have 15 minutes, and I have a timer.
You know, it's always good to give a lawyer a timer. I think Judge Jenny has learned that, I know, in the past 6 or 7 months. So we are terrible at guessing time. Hopefully that'll work. And first off, I want to say thank you to my fellow candidates. My wife has had some health issues. Well, she's always had some health issues, but the past week or so she's had some. So we're going to see somebody at 1:45. We just made the appointment 30 minutes ago. So if you see me exit afterwards, it's not because I don't want to hear what these fine gentlemen have to say. I just have somewhere I have to be. So with that, I'll introduce myself. My name's Andrew Morgan. I know most of you know me. Been actually born and raised here, lived here my whole life. And you know, the Republican women have always been important to me. Hubert Conley, my good late friend, actually got me involved in Republican politics back in the 90s, let's just say. I don't want to date myself too much, but the 90s. And back then, there was a special lady who kind of took me under her wing and taught me a lot about Republican politics, and that was Kay Shamblin. I know many of you know her, and if you knew her affinity for young Republican folks being involved. And because of folks like her and many of those in the room, Gayla, Dell, Debbie, Peggy Meyer, I haven't seen Peggy, but you know, there's a ton of great women, Lita Espinance, that have poured into me over the years and helped turn me into the person that I am today. And so to that, I say thank you. The Republican women are very, very important to me. And I gotta say, I think the reason that we made it through the candidates so fast is Hunter Shamblin wasn't here to encourage you to speak more. So I think if we could do that at the next party meeting, we might get out by 8. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up on a dairy farm here in Bradley County. Mom had a small business and Dad was a dairy farmer. So that's what I grew up doing. Went to Michigan Avenue, went to Bradley Junior, went to Bradley Central High School, and then I went off to UT and then to Memphis for law school. Came back here straight from law school and worked for Richard Banks and actually with Rebel Johnson for 8 years. Then went off on my own and started my own practice in 2016. Started in a small office that maybe 100 square foot. Today we've grown to be, I would estimate by volume, about the 6th largest firm in the district, which is Bradley, Polk, McMinn, and Monroe. And that says a lot. I think it says a lot about my work ethic. I think it says a lot about the clients that we have, the relationships that we've forged with them. And I'm proud of that. And I think that's something that if elected, I'm going to miss, is the work with the clients. But this is a position that I believe that I have a lot to offer and can convey more good on more people. And that's something that has always been at my heart. You know, I think back to all the people that poured into me over the years, and that's what I want to do in our juvenile court. And I'm sure that at this point most people are sick and tired of hearing me talk about juvenile court because that's what I talk about the most. And the reason is because kids are that important to me. You know, we had started an internship program at my office back in 2016 when I started it, and we've had, I think, 20 or so kids that have come through. We've had kids that have gone on to law school. I've got, I think, two or three in school now. We have others that are looking at it. We have kids that have realized that they don't want to be lawyers. They are what we call smart. So I think everybody here can vouch for that. So, you know, we had one of my favorite ones. She actually went into marketing. She's graduating at UT this semester. And I think that's because of the marketing that I always did. And that's what at least I tell her. But, you know, that's the thing is being able to help those kids learn that this is the job you want to have, or this is not the job you want to have, is something that I think matters. That's why I've been a big proponent of having more mentorship programs. That's why I've been talking about doing things like that in our court system. You know, I was talking to a group last night, and I told them, I said, you know, growing up on a farm, there's a lot of things I didn't know about things that people in the city knew. And there's things folks in the city knew or didn't know that I knew. Like, for example, I think Daniel could attest to this. There's these little green Cheerios that turn bulls into steers. And I knew what that was. And for those of you not laughing, ask somebody who is, they'll fill you in on the joke. But, you know, that's one of those things that by having those experiences and knowing these things, it makes life so much easier. If I knew back then that I was going to be a farmer, I've got a head start. I'll tell you a story. When I had my first day of law school, they said, raise your hand if your dad or your mom's a lawyer. 60%. Figured. Raise your hand if your mom or dad's a doctor, a dentist, a professional of some sort. 95% of the hands are up. 5% of us, there were literally about 10 of us, and they went around the room, and truck driver, dairy farmer, interior decorator, you know, whatever. And at that moment, I sat here and I realized I am so far behind and I haven't even started. You know, the kids who go through my office, they know the difference between a motion, a petition. They know the difference between what we at least classify as criminal sessions and criminal court, well, and civil sessions. No matter what it is, they have a good foundation of knowledge that they're able to work off of. Now, that doesn't matter just for law students in law school. That's for everything. If you want to be an engineer, hang out with engineers. If you want to be a police officer, hang out with police officers. You know, Chase back here worked with Steve Crump while he was in law school. If that's what he wants to be, it's a great place to be. If you want to do defense work, being with Stephen Hatchett is a great place to be. So my big thing that I want to push is I want to help kids in all facets. You know, you have kids in the juvenile justice system that are there because they have either had a bump in the road that we need to help them get over. We need to make it a one-time thing and move on. Or it might be a situation where, unfortunately, their home life just isn't what it needs to be. And while we can't replace a father, a mother, a support system, there are things that we can do. We can learn what the issue is that brought them here. We can try to find ways to help them get over that. We can partner with places like Habitat for Humanity, with various other nonprofits. You know, we have Foundation House. I was speaking with them today. I spoke with Willow Bend Farms, some folks from there today about some issues. And, you know, being able to utilize the amazing nonprofits that we have here to help these families, to help these children, we can break the cycle. Last night we were at a meeting, actually Mr. Calfee was there, and he was talking about the cost to house an inmate at the jail is $74 some odd a year, or a day. That's an absurd amount of money that we're spending. And that's not the sheriff's fault. That's not the DA's fault. That's not the PD's fault. It's not any of our faults. That's just the cost of doing business. But if we can change these kids' trajectories at the juvenile court level so that they don't graduate to a life of crime, but can graduate high school and go on and get a technical degree, a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, join the military, whatever is in their path that they need to be on, that's what we need to do. Because I don't want to see a child leave juvenile court and find themselves in front of Judge Calfee, Judge Collins, Judge Johnson. I don't want to see that happen. I want it to end here. That's it. So I believe that we have to take an individual approach to every single child that comes through. There's no story that's the same. It's just like with civil court. Just because you have 200 cases that are collections, the story's not the same. There's more to it. You have to be able to get down to the meat of the matter. Now, as far as the civil, before I leave juvenile, I'll tell you a story real fast. Several years ago, when Judge Swofford was on the bench, I had been appointed to a nice young man. He was about 6'3", 250. I think that's why Judge Swofford picked me to represent him, is I could look down on him at least. So his file was about that thick. We took over. He kept getting in trouble for silly things, just stupid things. And it was to the point that he was about to be sent off. And I asked the DA, and Andy Wattenbarger is who it was. Talked to him, talked to Judge Swofford, and I said, Judge, I'd like to give this kid another chance. If you'd let me, I'd like him to come to the office as an intern. He reluctantly agreed. Within 6 months, this kid was taking $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in cash that he counted without any oversight to Regions Bank for me and depositing it. That's how much we trusted him at that point. To this day, as far as I've heard from him and his mama, he's graduated high school. He didn't get in any more trouble in the juvenile system after that. And he did pick up a simple possession charge about 2 years ago, but that's it. And if you knew this kid and if you heard about what he had done and the things, the projections he had, you wouldn't have believed that. I consider him to be a success story. And I know you're sitting here going, well, no, if you knew where this kid was heading, he's doing great. He's working. He hasn't fathered any children. It's a success story. But I have high hopes for him to continue going. And this is a kid that had no father. He had a mother who was working nonstop. But we were able to pour into him, and I'm not saying that we are responsible for it, but I think he learned a few things. I think he picked up a little bit. And so I want to see more success stories like that. Now, moving on to the civil side of things. You know, in my bankruptcy practice, there's a ton of things that we saw. Folks that had evictions. Of course, I've represented landlords, tenants. I've done collections. I've defended collections. I've done pretty much every aspect of that side of it. And you know, the thing of it is you have to get down. You have to have hearings. You have to have hearings quickly. We have to be able to move through these cases. We have to get this backlog gone. Things have gotten better, but we still have room for improvement. One thing I'd like to see is if elected, I'd like to sit down with the district attorney, the public defender, the bar, Ms. Gala, the sheriff's department. I want to sit down with all the folks involved. I want to look at our scheduling. The bankruptcy court, for example, has an amazing schedule. And during COVID, we never missed a beat. They never missed a court date, not one. We moved quickly to phone-based hearings. We have actually just come off of that now. They've done in person as well, but they have a docket at 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2. You're set. It's not a show up at 9 o'clock and hopefully you're done by 5. It is literally this is when you have court and this is when we're doing it. I think doing that can help move things through. But like I said, this isn't my decision to make alone. This is something that Ms. Gala and I will be sitting down talking about. The DA's office, the public defender, all the folks involved will have to sit down and come to the table and talk about how we need to do this. But the thing is, we need to have those conversations. We need to have that talk. And I think that is important. I want to see more efficiency. I want to see ease of access. I want to see folks be able to get in and be heard and justice to be done in Bradley County. I also am planning on opening up the court for divorce jurisdiction. Anybody who practices in Judge Jenny's court, Judge Sharp's court, Chancellor Bryant's court knows how backed up we are right there. In Chancery Court right now, I'm fighting over June dates for hearings. I'm fighting over August dates for hearings. I'm trying to get 30 minutes and I'm being told April 18th. Well, if I could pull some of that off of the chancellor, off the circuit judges, to allow them to work on some other things, I think it's just better for everybody. You don't have any reason for a divorce to take 2 years. We don't have any reason for a custody case to take as long as we're taking. I want to speed up the process. That's what I'm here to do. Of course, I made myself notes, and if you know me, I rarely go off my notes. I usually just speak from the heart, so that's why you get what you get. So, beyond that, guys, I guess I would just say I love speaking to the Republican women because you all understand Republican values matter, conservative values matter. And I think that I have a very, very strong track record of having Republican ideals, conservative values. I might not always stick with the party. Sometimes I find myself to be too conservative. It is what it is. I make no apologies for it. But it's one of those things that I think voting records matter. I think that your principles matter. And I think I have a good long track record of making sure that people know that my conservative values are what they are. So I say that and I ask humbly for your vote as the conservative, honest, and fair candidate in the 2022, I can't believe we're already here at 2022, election. Okay? It's currently juvenile civil division 1, so I would appreciate your vote. And again, I'm sorry I have to leave. You have some great speakers. Listen to them. Thank you all so much for having me. If anyone has any questions, I'm very easy to find. Look at the shopping carts at Food City, the numbers on it. I mean, come on. My face is everywhere. I guess I'll just go into marketing if this doesn't work out. But I'm kidding. In all seriousness, though, May 3rd is coming soon, so I appreciate your vote. May 4th, I'm going to be at court. That's it. May 4th, I'll be working. May 5th, I'll be working. May 6th, I'll be working. I'll take a vacation sometime, but you'll always find me working. So if you ever have any questions, find me at the courthouse, find me at the office. That's the 2 places I'm at other than at home and at church. So y'all have a good one. Thanks so much, and sorry I have to leave.
Well, good afternoon, folks. I appreciate everyone being here. It's an honor to speak to the Republican women. I want to apologize for my voice. I am still suffering some lasting head things from COVID back in September. This is the thing that I've been blessed with, is occasional bouts of hoarseness, so I apologize for that. It is an honor to speak to this group. The old joke is still the true joke. If you want to have something talked about, get the Republican men together. And if you want to get something done, get the Republican women together. And that is absolutely the truth today, and it has been, and it will continue to be, I have no doubt. I don't think I'll need all 15 minutes. I started to lay my phone out here when Trey Hargett used to tell a story that when he would give a speech, that he would take his watch off and lay it on the lectern. And one day his whole family was at a gathering where he was speaking, and he took his watch off and he laid it down. And Trey's son looked over at him and said, "Mom, Dad took his watch off. What does that mean?" She looked back at him and said, "Unfortunately, honey, not a dadgum thing." So I'm going to try to get in under that 15 minutes, but I do want to talk to you about what I believe is an incredibly important office in our community and in our state. When I ran 8 years ago, I ran with the idea that became the 6 simple words that, if you've seen my video, you've heard me talk about, and that hang outside my wall of my office. And those simple words are: do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. And I want to talk to you about how I've used those words, and how each day when I've come into the office, they have served as a checklist for me on the way in, and as a grade card for me at the end of the day on the way home. When we talk about doing justly, most people understand that as being part of the district attorney's job. That is, we're supposed to hold people accountable. We're supposed to do what we believe is the right thing for a community, what is the just thing based on an offense. And that is absolutely correct. But it goes much farther than that. Doing justly means protecting the innocent as well. It means that our job, and Robert Jackson, who was the Supreme Court Justice that was also the Chief Judge in Nuremberg, said that no American figure has more control over the life, liberty, and reputation of people than the American prosecutor. It matters what we do. It matters how we do it. I don't know if you remember Christopher Darden. He was the prosecutor who tried, one of the 2 prosecutors who tried the O.J. trial. He said, to accept the responsibility of being a prosecutor is to accept the responsibility of being the only thing between the defendant and the jailhouse door. It matters what we do, and it matters how we do what we do. So in terms of holding offenders accountable, I'm very proud of the last 8 years. We've worked hard with our law enforcement partners to focus on the areas of crime where we believe we can make, first, the most significant difference in the community, but also where the need is the greatest. When we look around our community, I don't have to tell you, you don't have to read a newspaper article. You can simply look around the community and know what's driving crime in our community. It's drug use. It's drug abuse. It's responsible for well more than 80% of the crime in our community. I see Sheriff Lawson shaking his head. It's absolutely what is driving crime in our community, in every community, frankly, across America. This year, we will bury more than 100,000 people from opioid overdoses, whether it's a heroin overdose or prescription drugs. It is a national emergency. It is a local emergency. And we tackled that head on. When I came in, I had promised that I would set guidelines for certain types of crimes, and one of those was, in fact, drug cases. If you're going to profit off of selling poison in our community, then I believe you should go to prison. And I believe our results speak for themselves. Between 2015 and 2019, my office sent more people to the penitentiary, 4 times the number of people to the penitentiary that Hamilton County, Chattanooga did, despite the fact that they have 100,000 more people and 10 more prosecutors. Focus matters, and that became our focus. It wasn't just this area. If you can add the 9th and the 11th, the districts that surround us together, and almost double them, and we still sent more. We were in fact the 5th leading district in the state of Tennessee for sending people who profit from selling poison to our children and to our loved ones to the penitentiary. Now, that doesn't mean that we stop there. That doesn't mean we can just say, well, we've done this and that's wonderful. I'm proud of that. But we also have a violent crime problem. The state of Tennessee is the second most violent state in the union. In a time when the entire nation has seen crime rise over the last few years, we've also seen it here. We've seen it around the state. And when we look at that figure, we have to do something there as well. We've done the same thing there. We require jail time. We have a no-deal policy that what that means is before you settle a case, if you're one of my prosecutors, it has to go through at least one level of supervisory overlook. We don't just settle cases to get rid of them, no matter what it is. And if you dive into the numbers of that, I'll tell you something that, frankly, there is no government answer for. If you look at what's driving the violent crime, not just here but across America, it's friends assaulting friends. It's family assaulting family. It's neighbor assaulting neighbor. It's not random acts of street violence. It's not a government problem. It's not a crime problem. It's a heart problem. We have problems in this nation that have nothing to do with government, and that government will never be able to settle. Until we humble ourselves and turn from what we're doing, we're not going to fix any problem in this nation. Lastly, I believed that if you broke into somebody's house, you ought to go to jail. I don't care if you're 18 or if you're 80. And so I said there will be a minimum amount of jail time that we offer in those cases. And we have done that. And I do that very simply. It's a personal thing to me. Just like the drug addiction thing is. I buried a brother-in-law to a heroin overdose. My mother's house was broken into. And I watched her mourn for her engagement ring until the day she died. It matters if you're going to break into somebody's house, and so we did something about that. But doing justly is only the first part of the equation. We also have to love mercy, because not everybody has to go to prison. Not everybody should go to prison. In fact, some people we send to prison will frankly come back worse than we sent them. And so I'm proud of what we've done there. We've worked with Judge Donaghy to create a veterans court to help our most heroic members of our society get back to where they ought to be and where they can be and where they once served. We've doubled the size of our recovery court so that we can help people with true addictions work through it. We've worked with about a dozen new not-for-profit faith-based organizations to create treatment options and to help people find treatment options so that they can break the cycle of addiction. But it's also about being merciful and, frankly, probably primarily to our crime victims. They're the most forgotten people in America. We talk a lot about crime. We talk a lot about criminals. We talk a lot about what they need. We talk very little about what crime victims need. And so when I talk about crime victims, the first thing we did when I came into office was that I sent our victim witness coordinators to General Sessions Court, where there had never been before, so that every victim in our General Sessions Court would have the opportunity to meet with somebody from my office the very first day they came in, if it was on one of our days. To me, that was the very least that could be expected of us as we tried our best to love mercy. You know, we talk a lot about helping people. And unfortunately, much like the Republican men, sometimes all we want to do is talk about it. I'm proud to say that I've been a part of working with Sarah McInnes in the human trafficking area, working with the partners that we have in our drug addiction community to find ways so that people don't come back. And lastly, what does it mean to walk humbly? See, the first two are meaningless and frankly impossible if you don't walk humbly. Walking humbly means that you work with people that you don't agree with, maybe you don't even like. But for the people, your agenda is far less important than theirs. It means that you sacrifice yourself for the needs of the community and others. I'm proud to say that my office did not close a single day during the pandemic. We never missed a single court date. We never missed a single office day. because you all and serving you all was more important than us working from home. It also means understanding your role as district attorney. It means understanding that there are incredible limits to your power and incredible dangers if you don't observe those limits. I'm very proud to be one of 4 district attorneys who said to Governor Lee, we will no longer support nor enforce your executive orders when they became oppressive to the people of Tennessee. I try to stay within my lane and I try to work with every government official, but humility means that you don't put that or anything else above the people that serve you. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. Over the last 17 years, as I've gone around the district, people are pretty much the same. They want to be able to sit on their front porch in their backyard and not be afraid. They want to be able to drop their kid off at school and not worry about them. They want to be able to go to a store, to the mall. They want to be able to come to a meeting like this and not being afraid. There are lots of places across Tennessee in this country where that's not possible. But that's not true for here. I bet that none of you, as you've sat here today, have wondered about whether or not your house was being broken into. Not a single one of you sitting in this room have thought, oh my goodness, I wonder if my car has been broken to outside. Not a single one of you worried as you left your house or you came here, am I going to be assaulted on the way here? Not a single one of you. And do you know why? Because it's safe here. It's safe because of people like Steve Lawson, his department, Chief Gibson, Chief Stokes. It's safe here. All of you have done those things that I just talked about probably in the last few days. Dropped a child off, sat in your front of your back porch because we've had some beautiful weather, and gone shopping and not thought a thing about it. You know why? Because you don't expect it to happen. Because it's safe here. That doesn't mean that we don't have crime, and it doesn't mean that we could ignore it. It doesn't mean that we live in Shangri-La. What it means is we live in a place that's filled with good people. It's filled with people who care about each other. And yes, there are some bad actors. There are some people who would do evil among us. But that's why you have your district attorney. That's what we do. That's what I've done for the last 8 years, is guard your home and guard your community. It has entirely been the greatest professional honor I will ever have. And I owe that opportunity to you. I will never forget that. I'm asking you to return me for another 8 years to guard your home once again. I humbly ask for your vote and your prayers. Your vote on May 3rd, your prayers for long after. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for having me. It's always good to be down in Bradley County. I was a prosecutor down here from 2006 to 2014. I say it with no hesitation whatsoever. I poured my heart and soul into this county when I was a prosecutor. And it's interesting that the current district attorney has acknowledged there's a drug problem and that there's a violent crime problem in Bradley County, because you have both. I actually was planning on handing out the statistics from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, but there's too many people here. So what I'll do is I'll just put them up online for you guys to look at. All right? Bradley County has a massive spike in drug activity since 2014. These are numbers from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. These aren't my numbers. You can see it. 2014, massive spike in drug activity. Here's the thing about crime. You know, I have a degree in criminology, and I tell people that. I don't say it to brag. Everybody has to do something. But that's what I went to school, and that's what I studied, is crime. And I know crime. And we can talk crime all day long. That's Tennessee's drug and narcotic rate. Bradley County's worse. That's just a fact. So I'm glad to hear the district attorney acknowledge there's a problem, but where's he been the last 8 years? Because this problem's been going. This ain't the last year. This ain't the last 2 years. From 2015 to 2016, you had a massive jump in drug activity. From 2016 to 2017, you had another jump. From 2017 to 2018, you had another jump. Where was he at? And don't get me wrong, folks, I'm not up here to bash anybody. These are just facts. Because what this election is about, it's about trust. Who do you trust? Who do you trust for almost the next decade to deal with the issues that exist? And it's a good question, isn't it? Because if your child is in junior high, that child's going to go pretty much all the way through high school and into college. That's a long time, isn't it? 8 years. The next 8 years. You know, here's the thing about crime. Crime is somewhat predictable. There are things you can do to get your crime rates down. I'm proud of the drug numbers in this district from 2006 to 2014. I left the district attorney's office in January of 2014. From 2006 to 2014, I tried more criminal trials in Bradley County than any prosecutor. You probably could take 5, 6, 7 of the prosecutors assigned down here, and I tried more than all of them. When I say I poured my heart and soul into this county, I mean it. And the numbers show. And I'm proud of those numbers. And I don't say that, again, I'm not up here bragging. You need to look at the numbers. You need to know. You know, one of the things that has been said or suggested is, well, Hatchett's just trying to scare people. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm going to stand up, I'm going to look you in the eye, and I'm going to tell you what the issues are. And then I'm going to tell you how we're going to fix it. Because it can be fixed. One of the things that's not happened over the last 8 years is there's been no focus on individual offenders. Okay? You got to focus on individual offenders. Policies are great. They sound good. You can put them up on billboards. But if you don't focus on individual offenders, you're going to get the numbers that you get. Okay? I don't know where this number about the number of drug dealers going to prison versus Hamilton County comes from, but apparently it didn't work. You know what does work? Here's what works. You focus on individual offenders. You talk to law enforcement. Not just Sheriff Lawson. Sheriff Lawson's a good guy. I like Sheriff Lawson. I'm talking about the rank and file that's out there on the street. I'm talking about your law enforcement officers that are out there holding back the chaos and darkness that's growing in our world. Because it is, isn't it? Y'all look out at the world and you all say, you know what, I don't like what's happening. You may not be afraid that your house is being broke into. But that lady that apparently had a home invasion burglar and she warded him off with a shotgun, what do you think she feels? The people that were walking down the street and got shot with a BB gun or an airsoft gun, what do you think they feel? See, these dots, folks, these dots aren't just numbers. They're people. And when you see this increase, this is people. This is people suffering. So it's not just as simple as asking you all, do you all feel scared? It's not just as simple as saying, well, you weren't worried about anything. What you need to be concerned about, what I'm concerned about, why I'm running for district attorney, is each one of these dots going up increases the likelihood that something happens. And that should be concerning to all of us. People say to me, why are you running? I'm running because I have an 8-year-old daughter. And I want her safe. And when I look at the results over the last 8 years, I don't trust the current district attorney to get the job done. I don't. There's a whole lot of people out there that don't trust him to get the job done. And that's what this is about. They don't trust him. One thing about being a trial lawyer is you look at a room full of people. Some of you all don't trust him either. And that's what this race is about. At the end of the day, it is about safety. Because I want all of you safe. I want your grandchildren safe. I want your kids safe. And there are things you can do to make this district safer. You do work with law enforcement. But it's not just working with law enforcement. You got to talk to them. You know who knows who the criminals are? Law enforcement. I could go to every law enforcement officer in Bradley County and ask them to give me the names of 10 offenders who cause problems across this county, and I'll guarantee you 8 of the 10 names will be the same on every list. Who do we need to be focusing on? Those 8 names. And then when we get time, we go after the other 2, right? And that works. There's decades of criminological research on this about what works. And that's what we have to do. And that's what we're going to do. Because at the end of the day, I'm never going to lie to you. I'm never going to embarrass you. I'm never going to do anything to get your vote other than tell you the truth. Billboards are great. You can put a catchphrase up there, no deal for violent offenders, and that's great. But I represented a guy last year charged with aggravated robbery. I got appointed to him. The district attorney's office reduced the charge. But I thought there was a no-deal policy. That's what the billboard says. You just had a story on the front page of the banner. Some guy at Lee University was charged with rape. That's a Class B felony, right? Class B felony, 8 to 12 years in prison if you have no prior convictions. But then I see an article that it got reduced to a Class A misdemeanor. And actually, originally, there was not going to be any jail time. And the victim showed up and said, wait a minute, nobody told me there wasn't going to be any jail time. And then the judge said it for a sentencing hearing. I thought it was a no-deal policy. Folks, this is reality. You all, of all the counties in the district, you all have the most unique set of challenges. You have a growing economy. You have a growing population. You're right next to a growing major metropolitan center, which is Hamilton County and Chattanooga. The next 8 years is going to be big for this county. Who do you trust? If you want 8 years of what you've had, then you have the choice to vote for it. And I won't hold it against anybody. I'm with Andrew Morgan. I'm going back to work. I like private practice. I do. If I want to take the day off, I take the day off. If I want to go play golf, I don't tell my wife, but I go play golf. And it's just that simple, folks. So as you sit there and you look up here, ask yourself the question, who do you trust? Who's going to stand here and tell you what you need to hear? And who's going to tell you what you want to hear? I promise you'll never, never have me tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to give it to you straight, and you're going to say we like it, we don't like it, and you're going to do what you do. And that's me. It's always been me, and it always will be me. So thank you all for giving me the time to talk. I don't think I was anywhere near 15 minutes, was I? People talk bad about lawyers, and look at there. Huh? In all seriousness, folks, thank you. I would appreciate your vote. I would appreciate your support. But in any event, please go vote, and please get as many people as you can out to vote. Because this country, folks, we got to change. We got to change. And if we don't change, we're not going to like what we get. Thank you all.
See, I have to lower this when I come up here. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Great. Well, I'm Barrett Painter, and I'm your current General Sessions Court Judge, Division 1. I want to say thank you to the Republican women, to Emily, for allowing us to talk today. You guys, or you gals, do a wonderful job for the Republican Party, and it's true, you are the workers of the Republican Party. So thank you for that. And please say a prayer for Brittany, Andrew's wife. She does have some serious medical issues, and she needs all of our prayers. So please, when you drop down tonight, please say a prayer for her and Andrew. I grew up here in Bradley County. I was raised by Harlan and Lynette Painter. Most of you, younger people may not know my dad and mom, but most of you that's been around Cleveland for several years know who my mom and dad were. My dad served as the city attorney, close to 50 years. And growing up in that family, they were wonderful parents. I never heard my parents argue, okay? They were wonderful parents. And Dad was a staunch conservative, and he taught me the conservative Christian values as I grew up. Currently married to Leslie Painter. and have a son, Sam, who is a city police officer. When I was the city judge, I was able to tell people that there's been 3 generations of painters serving the Bradley County City of Cleveland. My dad, I did as your city judge, and my son currently serves as as a city police officer. So service was a big part of our family. Dad taught us service, and I think I've taught my son service as he's grown older. Also have 2 stepsons, Miles and Kent Christian, who are Leslie's 2 boys, and they are wonderful boys. Miles is a teacher and men and women soccer coach at Cleveland, and Biscuit, as we all know him, works in Hamilton County where's he work? That's awful, isn't it? That's a trucking company. Covenant. There we go. See, I have to put her on the spot every now and then. But thank you, Leslie. Thank you to my family. You guys have been a super support during this process. I want to talk today about coincidences and how that relates to God. There really are no coincidences. When we encounter a coincidence in our life, it's really God bumping us in the right direction toward where He wants us to end up. Because He has a plan for our life, and He puts that plan into place every day. As I said, I grew up here in Bradley County. I went to Cleveland High School, graduated, and I'm not going to say when because I will age myself, but a long time ago. And attended Lee University on a baseball scholarship, then transferred to UT Chattanooga, played there 2 years. Here's the first coincidence in my life. Growing up, I played baseball. That's what I did. I played other sports, but baseball was my primary goal. And this thick head and this short body thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. Go think. You really? So that's what I focused on. And then my junior year, they dropped the program. Thank God. Seriously, because it turned my life in a different direction, because I quit focusing on baseball and started focusing on school and started doing better in school. So I graduated UTC, and then I went to work. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer because Dad was a lawyer, but I'd been in school and I was really not ready to make that step yet. So I worked for 4.5 years in the rent-to-own industry. The only time I've lived outside of Bradley County except for law school was in Athens, Georgia, when I worked for a rent-to-own company in Athens, Georgia. But they sold the company, and that's when I decided I wanted to become a lawyer. So I went and talked to my dad and said, Dad, I'd really like to come back and practice with you. But here's the next thing, the next coincidence. Because I hadn't done that good in school and I had to work to get my GPA up, there was a lot of law schools that said, yeah, we don't want you. And so I applied a bunch of different locations, applied in San Diego State University and got accepted. But then one day Dad comes to me and says, hey, why don't you apply to Cumberland Law School in Birmingham? And I thought, that's a private law school. I probably won't get in there. Well, sure enough, I did. And the reason I did is because of a local lawyer named Bill Philauer, who was on the Board of Trustees. And again, bumping me in the right direction, that was God bumping me in the right direction. Because I went to Cumberland, I attended Cumberland and graduated in 2.5 years. I attended both summers because I wanted to get back and start practicing. So I came back in 1992 and started practicing law. And started practicing with my dad, which was one of the highlights of my life. I'm sorry. Working with Dad, I did primarily property work, so I've learned property work. I did insurance defense work. Went to Logan Thompson, started doing family law, and that's what I've been doing since 2000, I think. Worked at Chancey Canavis and Painter, and then I started my own practice, the Law Office of Barrett Painter, in 2018. And I've done all kind of cases. And the reason I say that is because being a session civil judge in civil court, I see it all. I see detainer warrants where landlords are trying to evict. I saw a dog bite case today. And another dog attacking another dog. So I see all kind of cases. I see car wreck cases. I see all kind of cases. And my 28 years of practicing law before I took the bench prepared me for this position. While I was practicing law with Dad, him being the city attorney, I was the city prosecutor. So I went to traffic court and I actually prosecuted those cases. I served as your campus court referee when we had that program, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I sat as special judge many times for Judge Swafford. I've sat over in Meigs County. And so I've had the honor and privilege of sitting as special judge in Sessions Court. Also served as your Bradley County attorney. from 2000 to 2005. So I've done a lot in practice that's put me in, that's helped me prepare for this position that I'm in today. I ran for Division II 8 years ago, was unsuccessful, but again, that's one of those coincidences where God's bumping me in the right direction. One of the things I talked about 8 years ago was that our sessions judges need to work together. We need to work together to make Sessions Court more efficient so that we can get people and litigants and better serve the citizens of Bradley County in and out of court and provide more services for them as they go through Sessions Court. And I think whoever it is, whether it's David, Clay, or Rebel, we will work together and we will make your Sessions Court more efficient. After I lost that election, I had another coincidence that happened. Our former city judge passed away, and the city council chose to appoint me to be your city judge, and I did that for 6 years. And I enjoyed that tremendously, and again, helping me prepare from where I am today. It was an honor to serve the city, and because again, you had those three decades of service, or three people who served the city of Cleveland. I currently serve on the boards of Life Bridges and the Boys and Girls Club, and I formerly served on the YMCA board. So I've got a lot of experience both in our community and in the practice of law that brings me here. So let's talk about what happened October 1st, 2020. So I got a call March, and I like to turn. Can everybody still hear me? Can you still hear me? Okay.
Mix 104 might not.
Oh, Mix 104 might not. Sorry. Man, I like to walk. But anyway, I'll stay here then. Thanks, Steve. So March of 2020, right before the world shut down, Dan Swafford called me and told me he was retiring. And I had talked to Dan about running for this position now. And so I went through that appointment process. And thank you, county commissioners, those commissioners that are here. Thank you for showing the confidence in me to finish Dan Swafford's term. I took the bench October 1st, 2020, and it's been an honor to serve you in that position. Anytime you take a new job, you always wonder, okay, am I going to mesh well with the people that are around me? We have our clerks. Gala's clerks are awesome. They're unbelievable. And we have my juvenile team and that I'll talk about. But I will say this, and I said this on the radio this morning, it's been amazing to be able to work with the clerks both in Sessions Court and Juvenile Court. They are wonderful people, and Bradley County is fortunate to have them as your Sessions Court clerks. Because not only do they care about making court more efficient and doing their job, they care about the people they serve. And once I took office, there was a little bit of working things out. But once I took office, I was able to talk to Gala and Dale and Emily and the clerks and try to figure out a better way to do Sessions Court, because Sessions Court includes, on the civil side, the civil court, environmental court, mental health court, and order protection court. And in civil court, we have a centralized calendar system that works both in Sessions and Juvenile Court. And it's been great because with my magistrate and I, we have busy schedules. We're trying cases. We have 2 different courthouses we have to go to, the juvenile center and the courthouse downtown. So it helps the clerks know where we are, and it helps us to know where we are. I did not miss a court day during the COVID. From January until March, when the governor said no more in-person hearings, we did not stop. And right now, we do not have a backlog in Sessions Court, Environmental Court, Mental Health Court, or Protection Court. We don't, folks, because we did phone hearings, we did Zoom hearings. We made sure the people were able to come to court and have their day in court. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of our clerks because we were able to accomplish that. In environmental court, we were able to streamline that. I hear cases every other month, which is great. In mental health court, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on mental health court, just to say this. It's exploding, folks. Talk to your legislators. We have to change mental health laws. Sheriff Lawson's shaking his head. I'm sure General Crump's shaking his head, and Leon Shahan's shaking his head. Folks, it's got to be changed, because when I have a mental health case and I have a hearing on a mental health case, all I can do is determine whether or not they're a danger to themselves or to the public. I can't make a determination of whether or not they need treatment. That's up to the professionals. So all I can do is say, yeah, you got to stay, or no, you get released. But they don't have, the professionals even don't have the resources to try to provide these people with the treatment they truly need. And we've got to change our laws so that these people can get more treatment and better themselves. With order, and I'll say this year we've had, 27 filings? From January until September 30th of last year, we had like 13, and it doubled in the next 3 months, folks. So it's exploding out there. So we need to talk to our legislators. Order Protection Court, we've got so many cases now that we've had to go to 2 dockets, a morning and an afternoon docket. And again, thank you to the clerk for being able to do that. And we're again making that court more efficient. But my heart is about juvenile court. You see, having a son, having 2 stepsons, I understand what it is to be a parent and what it is to have to go through pains with parenting. So I understand that children need help, and there's a lot of children out there who don't have the help that they need because they either don't have a parent or parents, or they don't have a proper guardian. When I took office, I met with Vicki Town, our juvenile director, and all of I call them our team, and we got to know each other. And I'm going to tell you, it's been absolutely amazing, the vision that we share. We all share the same vision, and that is to make juvenile court the best it can be to rehabilitate the children that come before us. We have the LEAF Academy, which is law enforcement, academic, and fitness. So I've been sending children to the LEAF Academy. It's kind of like a boot camp where it's a 6-week program, Monday through Friday, 8 to 3:30. First half is physical training, second half is academics, and we have teachers that volunteer, and Cleveland Middle School offers their campus to do that. So thank you for that. We're excited about our Junior Master Gardener program. And we're reinstating that. We met with the Master Gardeners, and we are already assigning children to the Master Gardener program, and that starts in April, so we're super excited about that. We're looking at reinstating our recovery court. We had a very good recovery court before I took the bench and even after I took the bench, but then our grant ran out, so we're looking at ways to try to fund our recovery court, because that's an important part of juvenile court, like General Crump said, and I'm sure Sheriff Lawson will say, we've got to help these kids and beat these addiction problems, because they happen to kids too, to juveniles too. So we're working on doing that. We have vaping classes now where children get petitions for possessing vapes at school. And once they get a petition, they're required to go to this vaping class, and it's a 1-day class on a Saturday, and we started that, and that's going well. But the one thing that I'm seeing in juvenile court is there's a lot. 1 minute? Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, let me say this, and I'm going to run over because I'm last. Because this mentorship program is so important. We're seeing a lot of assaultive behaviors in juvenile court. And when I took the bench, I knew I wanted to get this program started. And it's really on my heart about a mentorship program. We had our first meeting in February. And the reason it's on my heart, I had 2 gentlemen that changed my life. I had great parents, but I went to a baseball camp when I was 15 years old in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was saved out there. And the person I went with was my assistant coach named Greg Davis, and he's still a mentor to me to this day. Sorry. And Jerry Everly, my assistant youth minister, was a big mentor to me. So mentoring is huge to me. This program that we're developing, we've already had 1 meeting. We had 17 people that came. We had our superintendents from both schools. We had Haley Johnston at Free to Fly. We had Yachty Westfield, who does a music ministry. We had Frank Walker from First Baptist. We had Nolan Rumble from the Avenue. Tim Hewitt from the Bradley Bar was there. We had a big group of diverse people in our community. And it's going to happen, folks. We're going to make this happen. And it's not just for our kids in juvenile court. It's for the entire community of our juveniles. If a parent sees that they have a problem with the child, they can come to us and we can place them with a mentor. If a school sees that there's a problem with the child not having a proper person in their life, they can contact us and we can put them with a mentor. And we do it through juvenile court. So I'm super excited about this mentorship program because, folks, it is going to happen. because it's already happening. Thanks to our community and thanks to our leaders in our community, and not just our leaders, everyone. I went and talked to Sandra's employees the other day, and I had somebody come up to me afterward and says, I want to be part of that mentorship program. So it's going to happen, and it's going to be a game changer for our community. So in closing, I'll say this. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I say this all the time. If a vote for me, Barrett Painter, will ensure that the children of Bradley County are not just nameless, faceless numbers in our juvenile system, but a child who has a chance to succeed in life. I am doing the job. I am making court more efficient. We have changed juveniles' life already, and we will change more. Experience, proven leadership. I humbly ask for your vote and support, and more importantly, I ask for your prayers. Thank you, and God bless.
We're done, everybody.